Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something deeply human and profoundly personal, the experience of being a woman with no friends. It's a topic many of us shy away from, but it's one that deserves our attention because loneliness is not a personal failure, it's a signal, a call to action, and sometimes a mirror reflecting the stories we tell ourselves. 1. The power of vulnerability is one of the most transformative forces in human connection. For many women who find themselves without friends, the sense of loneliness can feel overwhelming, almost like a personal failing. However, the core of this issue often lies not in the absence of people around them, but in the absence of vulnerability in their interactions. Vulnerability is the foundation of authentic connection, yet it is also one of the most challenging things to embrace. It requires courage, trust, and the willingness to risk being seen for who we truly are. When someone feels isolated or without meaningful friendships, there's often an underlying fear of rejection or judgment. This fear can lead to a protective instinct, a kind of emotional armor. We tell ourselves stories to justify staying guarded. I'm too busy for friends. Or no one will understand me. These defenses might keep us safe from potential pain in the short term, but they also keep us disconnected. The paradox of vulnerability is that while it feels risky, it is the very thing that allows us to build the connections we crave. Imagine walking into a room of strangers. The instinct might be to put on a mask, to appear confident and in control. But think about the most meaningful moments in your life. They likely didn't happen when you were trying to impress someone. They happened when you allowed someone to see your real self, your fears, your dreams, your quirks, and even your flaws. Those moments of openness create a bridge between people, a bridge that no amount of perfection or pretense can build. For a woman who feels friendless, vulnerability can seem like a daunting task. After all, if opening up has led to hurt in the past, why risk it again? This is where courage comes into play. Vulnerability isn't about oversharing or exposing every detail of your life. It's about showing up as you are, even when you feel uncertain or afraid. It's about saying, "This is me, and I hope you'll accept me," without guaranteeing the outcome. Another barrier to vulnerability is the societal narrative around independence and strength. Women are often told to be self-sufficient, to handle their problems alone, and to avoid being seen as too needy. While independence is valuable, it shouldn't come at the expense of connection. True strength lies in the ability to admit when you need support or when you're feeling lonely. Vulnerability allows you to say, "I'm struggling," and to invite others to walk alongside you in that struggle. It's also important to recognize that vulnerability is a two-way street. In the end, embracing vulnerability is about valuing showing your authentic self often encourages others to do the same. It's about choosing to be connection is often misunderstood as a cycle of trust and connection. For a woman without many people equate having it may not happen as a powerful and not every attempt to form lasting friendships or every small act of courage. Authentic connection is not about quantity, it's about the quality of the relationships we cultivate. For a woman who finds herself without friends, this shift in perspective can be liberating. It allows her to step away from societal pressures and focus instead on what really matters, the depth and meaning of her connections. The idea that one must have a large circle of friends to feel fulfilled is a myth perpetuated by modern culture. The emphasis shifts from seeking external validation. Social media, for instance, often showcases curated snapshots of people surrounded by groups of friends, providing a false standard for what friendship should look like. However, building meaningful connections requires attention for women. It's not about waiting for the right highlight reel. Instead of striving to expand their social circles indiscriminately, they can focus on finding one or two and seeking out shared interests, joining communities where people gather around common goals, or even reconnecting with someone from the past. The goal is not to find as many people as possible, but to identify those with whom you can be honest, vulnerable, and authentic. An important aspect of this process is learning to listen deeply. Meaningful relationships are built on a foundation of empathy and understanding, which requires active engagement and genuine interest in the other person's thoughts and feelings. When you take the time to truly understand someone, you're not just building a connection, you're creating a bond rooted in trust and mutual respect. It's also crucial to recognize that meaningful relationships take time to develop. In a world that often prioritizes instant gratification, the patience required to build trust and intimacy can feel unfamiliar. But the time and effort invested in nurturing a connection are always worthwhile. Friendships built on mutual understanding and care are far more resilient and fulfilling than those based on convenience or surface-level interactions. Connection isn't about the numbers. It's about being present and authentic in your interactions, prioritizing depth over breadth, and seeking relationships that enrich your life. For a woman with no friends, this perspective can transform loneliness into an opportunity to cultivate deeper, more meaningful bonds, reminding her that it's not about how many people are in her life, but how those people make her feel seen. Empathy and self-awareness are two of the most critical components for building meaningful relationships and breaking the cycle of isolation. For a woman with no friends, these qualities can serve as powerful tools, not only for understanding others, but also for fostering a deeper relationship with herself. Connection begins within, and self-awareness is the first step in uncovering the internal barriers that may prevent her from opening up to others. Paired with empathy, this self-understanding creates a foundation for authentic relationships. Self-awareness requires an honest examination of one's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. It's about asking hard questions. What stories am I telling myself about why I don't have friends? Am I assuming others won't like me or that I'm not interesting enough? Often, feelings of loneliness are compounded by internal narratives of inadequacy. Once these internal barriers are recognized, self-compassion stories can become self-fulfilling prophecies. It's easy to be harsh with ourselves when we feel others and reinforcing a sense of isolation. Blaming ourselves for not being good enough or social enough. Becoming aware of these patterns is essential because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Instead, self-compassion invites us to treat ourselves with the same kindness we would extend to a friend. It reminds us that loneliness is a universal experience, not a personal failure. By cultivating this gentleness toward ourselves, we open the door to healing and growth. Empathy, on the other hand, is the bridge that connects self-awareness to the outside world. While self-awareness focuses inward, empathy turns outward, helping us understand and relate to the emotions and experiences of others. To build meaningful relationships, it's essential to approach people with curiosity and compassion rather than assumptions or judgments. This means truly listening, hearing not just the words someone says, but also the emotions behind them. Empathy allows us to step into someone else's shoes, creating a space where they feel seen and valued. Empathy is not just about understanding others, it's also about understanding how we interact with the world. Are we creating opportunities for connection, or are we unintentionally closing ourselves off? For instance, if someone reaches out but we assume they don't mean it, we might dismiss a potential connection before it has a chance to develop. Empathy helps us challenge these assumptions, giving others and ourselves the benefit of the doubt. Together, empathy and self-awareness foster a mindset of openness and connection. They help us navigate the complexities of relationships with grace and courage. They also remind us that connection isn't about perfection, it's about showing up as we are, flaws and all. For a woman with no friends, these qualities can turn loneliness into a transformative journey, one that begins with understanding herself and extends into building authentic, fulfilling relationships with others. In this way, self-awareness and empathy become not just tools but lifelines, guiding her from isolation to genuine connection.